Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast. I am joined today by noted streamer, noted whale, and noted crow eater, Nerdwords,
Hello.
and joined again by my lovely co-host, Nineball.
Oh, is it? Are we official now? We
It
we
it
we besties.
Co-host
at
official. Look at that.
at this point, since Nineball has been on almost every episode, we talked, and it just makes sense. Um, and Nerdwords is like he's close to a co-host, like a tri host. It's
I
almost a
don't have I
triumvirate.
don't have a robe. I have to have the robe. That's the thing.
it it's part of the requirements.
If there's
I
a
know, dude.
listener
I'm
out
working
there
on.
who can get
Look,
Nerdwords a robe, then we can form a triumvirate for the podcast. Until then, just the one co-host, Nineball. And we're brought to you by PureDiablo.com, your home for an ever-growing Diablo community, an expansive wiki, and of course, this podcast. Gentlemen, we've got a few things to talk about today. Let's start with your recent Diablo play. Is the newest Diablo 3 season keeping you going? Have you fallen back to Diablo 2? Or are you just consuming as much Diablo 4 content as possible right now in preparation for next week's beta?
so I went really hard on D3 when it first popped up. I finished my season journey. I did finally clear a Greater Rift 150, which I was super excited about, but not solo. I just not solo. I did it in twos. It was just me and a bar buddy. I definitely could do a solo 150 probably at this point. I just haven't jumped into it yet because the power creep is just absolutely insane. It's been a lot of fun. I've been busy with work the last few days, so I kind of took the last few days off from playing both Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Over the weekend, I did jump back into the Diablo 2 ladder as well too, and do some runs. One of my buddies is running the Mosaic Assassin, so it was really nice to just get carried, through some chaos runs and some sea bales in general. So yeah, kind of jumping between the both, but my playtime's been a little more reduced the last week and a half. Kind of in anticipation for Diablo 4, right? Kind of get all the real life stuff and work stuff minimized as much as possible, so that next weekend I will be able to jump in and play like a degenerate. It'll be great.
So that's a big mood on that one, right? You're trying to get in, like, time with the missus, and
Oh,
just
absolutely. Yep.
going like watching TV. Well, what do you want to watch tonight,
Right.
dear? I'll cook dinner, and
Hey,
then
let's
so that
watch
way,
that movie we've been talking about for 6 months. Yeah.
I could just disappear for 3 days, next week.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, very similar situation though. I didn't go back to D2R. I haven't done the 150. I think I did like a 139 solo, which is still like my highest that I've done solo. Previous was like 118. So it's still, and I could probably push higher. I just haven't been feeling that urge to go through and push, and then a whole bunch of other things between work life and other stuff have been going through popping up. I got the Saturday the 18th, we're in the middle of the beta. I have a Warhammer tournament that I'm going to that I'm going to be at for like
Nice.
9 hours. Yeah. And so I've been trying to get a couple of practice games in for that and such, just friendly games with friends and such, just to get a little bit of practice. I've been a little bit rusty, haven't been playing as much this year. Like, it's been a lot of Diablo stuff going on in order to
Yep.
go through, look at, talk about. Um, and then also, like, the big thing that it impacted me with Diablo 3 was it took away from like my immortal time, and so I've also been trying to go through and like catch back up to Server Paragon and other things like that. Yeah, that's about the long and the short of it on my side.
Nice. I've shared on Twitter. Predominantly, most of my Diablo time has been spent on the treadmill. Uh, it has been. I'm running a lot right now. I'm training for a 50-mile race in May, so it Nerdwords knows it's snowing. Outside runs in the morning are next to impossible. So I'm on the treadmill a lot, and I bought Diablo 3 hoping it would be able to work and kind of placate the boredom of a treadmill. Uh, it didn't work, but Diablo 2 has fit this hole so perfectly. It is amazing, and it's been so much fun. I'm significantly slower than I would be playing on a computer. I still prefer a mouse and a keyboard, but I I don't even think about the miles. I'm just enjoying playing. So I haven't died yet, so I haven't felt that disappointment. When it does happen, I will. But that has been my playthrough, and so far so good. So I'll
I think
keep you
there needs
guys
to be
posted.
more. There needs to be more acknowledgement for what is happening here because you just hate yourself so much that you're playing Diablo 2 on a Switch while running long distances,
Mhm.
while playing hardcore,
Hardcore.
while playing as a druid. Like there's just so many things in there that by themselves I and a lot of the rest of the people I know or interact with would never do. And you're doing all of them because you're just HC/SC Xanth. So,
I love how that has stuck, by the way. Um, for some
I mean,
reason.
it's just like Tyrael's wings. It's never going away.
That's
true.
true.
Ever.
I want to point out that part of the Twitter handle was because I couldn't get Xanth to begin with. So I just put, well, I play hardcore and I write about it at the time for the site. So I'll just put HC. And then here we are. Um,
Yeah.
here.
I
Way of
feel
life.
that. I can connect on that one. Since for whatever reason, like Nine Ball was taken on Twitter. The poor guy gets, I'm sure he gets, like tweeted at. It was some just
And
random shit. And it's also, I guess it's like funny. We were just talking about before the podcast that I lived in the Netherlands briefly, and the guy is Dutch. So it's just like
So random.
it's very random. Yeah.
Well, and it's really funny too because I remember the first time I heard your tag, Nine Ball, I went, I wonder if that's an Armored Core reference because I grew up obsessed with Armored Core as well. And
Yeah.
Nine Ball, bad as mess.
Yeah, no,
um,
110%. Can't wait for Armored Core 6, Fires of
Same.
Rubicon, come out later this year.
Hell
As
yeah.
you might have seen, I've been also like retweeting a whole bunch of Armored Core stuff this year ever since they announced it. Big,
Yep.
big Armored Core fan, which of course is where my name comes from.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a huge pool player, right?
Oh yeah, it's funny. When like when StarCraft 2 had first come out, I would be going through and playing multiplayer games and such, and people would just be like, "Do you play pool? No. Do you play pool? No. Dude, I loved Armored Core. I did too.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, so it's like at least like 1 in 3, would get like the Armored Core reference.
uh, so it seems like we're all still at least enjoying Diablo in our free time as we prep to play more Diablo in our free time. Now, we have a big weekend coming up soon. We are all in the beta because we have pre-purchased. The open beta is the weekend that follows. So those of you who are on the fence, you can go in the open beta, but maybe you don't have time to wait. Maybe that weekend is booked, but you don't want to buy the game. Well, today we got confirmation that there is a way to kind of skirt that and satiate your hunger at the same time,
Little loophole.
just a little bit. KFC has partnered with Diablo, which again, I feel like I've said a few things on the past podcast that I would think I might be having a stroke, but that's nope, this is real life. KFC and Diablo have merged. And if you buy a double down sandwich, you can also get a beta code for next weekend. Um, we don't need to buy it. I've kind of feel like I should just to do it, but um, yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of some other marketing later. This feels way different than Diablo 3. And like I feel like we're seeing a lot of things that are just way bigger than Diablo 3 ever was. And this kind of massive partnership with another brand, I don't recall seeing during Diablo 3's development. Am I wrong on that? Is there something I missed?
No, I don't think. At least for like Diablo 3 in the US, I don't remember seeing like any type of thing like because they had done like Mountain Dew in World of Warcraft, in the past, and other things like that. But yeah, I don't remember them combining efforts with anybody. It like so it is new here because they've been doing a lot. I believe in like Korea and Japan, they've been doing collaborations with Burger King over there. With like for Immortal and Diablo 2 Resurrected and such, so we're just now experiencing it here. But there was like Echo Hack had done like a little experiment that he posted on Twitter today, where he actually ordered it. He paid like $22 to order one sandwich, on like Uber Eats or whatever, just to have it delivered and see everything that happened. And it's just a sandwich. There's like no Diablo wrapper or like little like placard or anything that comes with it. No marketing or merch. It's just literally, we'll email you a code. Missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah, I don't remember the only partnership I do remember was one that made way more sense. I mean, like, not to say. I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I think that it's definitely interesting and cool to bring in like other medias and stuff. But like, the when Diablo 3 released on console, they did that partnership with Sony that added in the Last of Us stuff into
Oh,
like
yeah.
the rifts and stuff. So that would technically count. But again, they're both in a gaming space. So it kind of made a lot more sense. So this, I would argue that the Halsey collaboration was actually a bigger collaboration. Like KFC is huge. Halsey has more followers. So like if you're talking about reach, right?
Yeah.
But I think that speaks to the breadth of Diablo 3. Like, it's the Diablo franchise for a long time has been the action RPG franchise. And even with games coming out every 10 to 15 years, it just shows that the weight that franchise has. And to see like Halsey again, doing her song at the performance for the Game Awards and all that stuff and all that, and the collaboration with KFC, it just shows that like, I mean, we didn't have that going into Diablo 3 because I don't think that, again, Diablo 2, critically acclaimed, amazing game, probably one of my favorite games of all time. Diablo 3 had a bigger reach. It sold way more copies, it was in more homes, more people played it, right? For better or for worse, more people played Diablo 3. So I think that, like, these collaborations are really cool, and they just speak to, like, the growth of the entire franchise, and that's awesome. Awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna turn it down. I think it's great. It's a nice little thing.
Oh, by the way, real quick, I did share it pre podcast, but I want to share it with everyone else too. Pro tip: if you want to get a double down and make it real good, and you're extra hungry, you get a double down, you get a famous bowl, you dip the double down into the famous bowl. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's worth the 6 months it will take off of your life, honestly.
Yes, probably,
Yeah,
probably so.
Um, but I
Yeah.
mean, it is one of those ones, just going through and like talking about marketing because a lot, to your point, I believe a lot of like these like cross marketing things is generally when one brand reaches out to the other.
Yeah.
So it's they have like KFC has to be willing, they have to go through and look at it and see what will we gain from doing this cross promotion type thing in order to make it worthwhile. And so it's something that they'll see and be like, yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, but to Diablo nerd ordering KFC on Uber Eats is what they'll see. So
Yeah. And
there you
then,
go.
and then on the Blizzard's benefit is everybody that has no idea what Diablo is, all of a sudden ordering their double down, through the app or whatever, and then they get a code, an exclusive code for the, the invite only beta, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll
Right.
check it out, so
Right.
it's like just getting in front of more eyes that the Diablo that if the, so obviously you're listening to this podcast, you're in it, you want all the Diablo information that you possibly can get. You're jacked into the Diablo code. There's going to be people out there that have never heard of Diablo that are going to order a double down, see it, and be experiencing it the first time. What this does is it's getting it out into spaces that Diablo isn't already in, and
Yep.
so it's trying to attract more people that way.
And it costs like nothing at all. Right? Like it costs the
Yeah.
price of generating a code. That's
Yeah.
literally all it costs, right? So it benefits both parties. There's not like this huge like marketing there's I don't know. It's really smart. It's really smart. And honestly, we've seen Call of Duty do it with Taco Bell. Like we've seen other games do it with fast food. So it's really interesting for sure. And I'm glad to see the branching out. And again, like I haven't eaten KFC in a minute, but like now I'm thinking about KFC for the first time in years. I'm like, I might get some KFC
We
over the weekend.
we've essentially spent like 5 minutes here just talking about it, which
True.
again, we're a small podcast, our reach isn't huge, but that's
Very
in some
very
ways
popular though.
we,
Very popular
we're going to
podcast.
get to that. We are a very popular podcast, and we will come to that. And if it's not at the front end rush, it should be. But we are still talking about it. Think of the $3 that KFC has saved right now because we just keep talking about it.
Mhm.
That's almost the price of a delicious double down sandwich. See,
Double.
KFC, you could send a little scratch over.
We
We
got,
could
we
do
got, we
this.
got, we got, we have some space in the Waypoint for your advertising.
We haven't even said one disparaging thing about it. So we'll move on.
But
But I
I
want
did allude to the fact that it takes 6 years or 6 months off your life. So maybe there's that.
I
But-
I thought that was their slogan. Honestly, I thought it was KFC. We'll take about 6 months off your life.
Well, I mean, in
Yeah.
today's age, it's not necessarily a bad
You're gonna
thing.
live longer anyway. It'll be
Uh,
fine.
How many, how many Norfolk Southern train derailments are we at in the past month at this point? There's another
Ooh,
one today.
too
Um,
soon. Too
all
soon.
right. I did have one more thing to say about marketing before we move on, though.
Okay.
So two of my like favorite commercials. It's weird to have like favorite commercials, so just it's not like really, but just work with me here. Of all time, are Diablo commercials. There's the Dreams commercial from Diablo 2, where the guy is like having like the visions, and so they actually have people that have cosplayed all of the classes from the original Diablo 2 that are like running around. There's like a barbarian like cutting the hedge of his lawn with an axe, a
yeah.
necromancer summoning fire, for the grill and stuff like that. Absolutely hilarious. It was great. And then Diablo 3, for when they had the console version, had the what was it? The like the orgy, where the husband comes home
yeah.
and he hears his wife like screaming upstairs, and there's like all these clothes all over and stuff, and opens the door, and then she's sitting there dressed, and they're all like dressed as like witch doctors and stuff, sitting on the couch, and is like, "Hey, babe, come join us." Like, it's like,
Great stuff.
great things. Everything so far of Diablo 4 and their marketing has been, like serious in tone, and I mean it fits for what they're wanting to do with the whole darker game and all of that, but I'm still waiting for I want my joke commercial. I want my absurdist humor TV spot. I'm waiting.
They still have time, and we'll get to other things. So outside of damaging your body with KFC, there is another way if you are still on the fence and you don't want to put that into your body, to put something on your body, and that is Hell's Ink. It is still up and running. I believe it will be in Dallas this weekend. Uh, so if you're out there in Dallas and you are looking to get a chance at the beta, get a tattoo, and get some cool swag, t-shirt, pins, patches, bags. I was also told they had black water as well. So lots of cool stuff. You could do that instead. Now, if you can't get out there, or if the line gets too long, you could spend the $5 on a double down. Either way, you'll get into the beta. I'm not going to ask if you guys are going to the one in Dallas. I know that you're not, but somebody out there might be. And honestly, if you are listening
Ironically,
and you're nearby, you should go.
I am flying to Fort Worth the next weekend.
You just keep
So
missing it.
it's just terrible.
Yeah.
I'm going for work though, not for personal. So I probably wouldn't have been able to get out and do it anyway.
Someday, man.
Drat. If only tattoo shops weren't open all over the place all the time for me to go get a Diablo tattoo if I really wanted to. If only.
How much you got to pay for those?
That's true.
Yeah. And it doesn't come with a bunch of free swag and a Diablo beta code.
That's true.
It's true.
I was pretty jealous of the t-shirts. I did like those. So I'm just saying, maybe some of the original ones could get a t-shirt. Maybe. We did get a free copy of the game. That's pretty cool too. Uh, okay, so Hell's Inc. has been running for a little while, and we talked about it when it came out, like this original new idea, a little bit darker, a little bit more adult, which was cool. And then last week we got this pretty amazing live action trailer. And at first, and we'll talk about impressions, but the first time I watched it, it literally looked like it couldn't be real. This
Mhm.
amazing Gothic architecture, Gothic cathedral, uh, in tandem with this beautiful ceiling painting, in the style of like late Renaissance Baroque paintings, right? Um,
Yeah.
it is absolutely amazing to see an artistic rendering of like the Diablo 4 characters like Caravaggio would have done it. Um, that hits like a very specific niche interest for me, and I am 100% for it. Uh, Gentlemen, what did you think of this cathedral takeover?
It looked amazing. The only, and I don't know if this is me just like getting old, but in my head I just kept thinking like, what's the return on investment? Like it looks badass, right? It looks super badass, right? But in my head I'm going, but like, but what do they get? Like they get a commercial? That's awesome. Okay. But then after the commercial's over, can I go tour that thing? Right? Like that would be sick, right? Can I go see this wherever it is? Because I don't remember. Did they give the location of where it's
It's in
at?
Yeah,
France.
so that they did give the location, like the specific church in the city that it's in and such. And I mean, like the behind the scenes and stuff made it seem as if like this church has been, it's like a permanent fixture. Like it's now become almost like a Diablo art gallery.
Yeah, so now I have to go find this thing, right? So then
Yeah.
that's really cool, right? But that's all I kept thinking the whole time was like, how much money do they spend on this? And then what do they get out of it besides the commercial? Obviously, the commercial was sick, right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty hefty investment. Like, I mean, to do all of that art, and I mean, the artist did phenomenal. Like, oh my god, it looks crazy. Just absolutely insane. Now I just want to go see it. So that's really cool. So I'll have to look that up and try to see if I can plan a trip sometime. Where is it? Do we know like where
It's
is
in
it?
France.
It's
Oh,
somewhere in France. Yeah.
never mind then. I probably won't be
Yeah,
going there anytime
that's
Yeah.
soon. So rip.
that's not a
Damn.
quick jaunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hop on over to France real fast.
And yeah, and we don't know. So there's like two things that are involved in that because from like in the behind the scenes, from what it looks like, there's actually like a bunch of them are actual just like paintings that aren't so they're not permanently painted onto the wall like a mural
Yeah.
and such. They're just set up kind of like an art gallery. Though the ceiling
Yes.
is going to be the permanent fixture there in order to go and check out and see. So that'll be cool.
And it looks incredible. Like it's just wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I want to see a lot of like high res shots. Uh, just seeing like the obviously I'm drawn to the Druid. Seeing the artistic rendering of it, it looks so cool. And
Yeah.
I think the only sad part is I was thinking about the collector's edition that we've all purchased, and it has like the art of Diablo in it, and none of that's going to be in there. Unless they're making some changes to it, but probably not. I would love to have that within that collection because it,
That
it
would be
just
cool.
already looks iconic.
Well, and a
Yeah.
lot of the art that's in the cathedral is like the art that you could buy off the gear store too, right?
It looked similar, though I'm not sure if
Yeah,
it
some of the
is.
paintings and stuff, because I've been eyeballing some of those paintings for a minute. And I saw them like on the walls of the cathedral. So, like, not the ceiling one, obviously, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it definitely looked like some of the art prints that are on the Blizzard Gear store was hanging in that cathedral, and just made me honestly a little more inspired because like I've been looking at some of those for a minute. Like, I really kind of want to pull the trigger, but my head keeps going. If I'm going to pull the trigger on anything, it needs to be the
I,
Lilith statue first, and then the Anarius
yeah.
statue, and then the
Oh,
artwork.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like one of those ones. It's just like I got art, sitting there behind me next to the Lilith statue that I just don't have anywhere to put up on the walls.
Yeah. See, I
And
have
so
blank walls all around here. Behind me's pretty
yeah,
hard, but I have blank walls, so I need, and I have art. I just have been lazy,
maybe we could switch. I'll give you some of the paintings. You give me some of your blank walls.
There you go. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Super easy.
I got lots of space.
You have so much art behind you.
Yeah.
I'm shooting in my basement as opposed to our separate studio apartment thing. Um, we got snow. I'm not climbing up those stairs. I don't want to slip on my way back into the house later tonight. Um, but yeah, it does look absolutely phenomenal. And I've joked before that we have this mural painted in our basement, and I'm not going to show you viewers my horribly dirty basement right now. But we have a mural, and I promise maybe tomorrow on Twitter I will take a picture of it and show you what I'm working with.
It's creepy.
It is absolutely creepy. It has a built-in statue, a built-in fountain, I should say, because that's what you would have in a basement in Wisconsin.
Of course.
But it has like this village. And the second I saw the cathedral, I'm like, I need these guys to just come down here and fix whatever the hell the previous owner has done because it's gonna look a million times better. Or just paint like Lilith in the background. I'll be totally cool with it. So
Yeah, just in like one of like the little like Tuscany balconies, like
yeah,
overlooking the Broadway.
put a bunch of demons all around it, and then we're good. In its current iteration, it's very creepy. But this was awesome, and I think it'd be cool to see something like this in a US installation, like you had mentioned, Nerwards, to be able to go
Love
and
to go
actually
travel
see.
to it. Yeah, that'd be sweet, and it's a lot easier in the US, but still really cool otherwise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Uh,
Now,
for, for the Reaper of Souls launch, they actually did do like a really big launch party at. So it was no longer a cathedral. It was a church at one point that had closed, and someone else had bought it and turned it into a private like rent. It's like a rentable venue. But it was a church and all that, and so they did the Reaper of Souls launch party inside of it. It was actually like it was pretty badass.
That's awesome. Yeah.
so
So.
thoughts, Blizzard, feel free to buy up some churches and let's have some fun. Okay, so any last thoughts before we hit the waypoint?
No, I just want to go to France now.
Well, we can't go to France, but we will take a waypoint. All right. So the waypoint for this week's podcast, as you feel free, find a beverage, talk to a merchant, do what you guys got to do. Uh, there it is, Nine Ball. I want to acknowledge somebody out in our listening community who's doing us a huge favor, though it may feel like a Sisyphean task. Uh, I'm talking about Ember Mage over on Reddit. Every time this podcast comes out, Ember Mage is on it and posts it to Reddit and gets horribly downvoted, destroying whatever karma they have built up. Um, I sincerely appreciate the effort that you are putting out there. Um, we are a very popular podcast, but we're not well liked. But you do it every week, and I do sincerely appreciate it. So thank you, Ember Mage, for all of your efforts. All right, gentlemen, I think we can take the waypoint out. Have you got everything you need? Filled up on potions? Got all your scrolls?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready.
Sure.
Okay. So let's head to the biggest news of the week, which was a Twitter space with the Diablo team. We had Joe Shelley, Rod Ferguson, Pez was there. Um, we also had Danny, and I think that was it. Um, and they were out there to answer questions that people had submitted via Twitter, as well as just give general information. They were talking a lot about the cathedral, and then they opened it up to the questions that we had. So, before we go into any of the content, do we like Twitter Spaces as a place for Diablo to be doing more events?
I mean, I don't know how it's any different than any other space, other than it's not video, it's audio. I guess that's the big difference. But I mean, it's just a social media. I mean, whether you prefer Twitter or Instagram or Twitch or YouTube, I mean, it's all content delivery, so it's really just kind of personal preference. And I don't think anyone like is super about any certain social media platform, right? So I don't think that matters as much. It really depends on which platform you use the most and where you consume your content. So I think for people that use Twitter actively, super convenient, right there, right? Click a button, check it out. For me, when I got word that the Twitter that it was happening, I actually did not catch it was a Twitter space. I just knew it was a Q&A. So I'm going, oh, okay, Q&A. I'm gonna check YouTube. Well, went to YouTube. There's nothing there. And then I was like, oh, well, it must be on Twitch then, right? So I went to Twitch. Nothing there. And so I was like, well, what the hell? So I go on Twitter just to see what the thing was. I was like, oh, it's literally right here. Okay, cool. So I mean, I didn't see a problem with it at all. It's all just social media in general. But definitely convenient for me, who does actively peruse Twitter, even if I don't post as much as I should. So
Nine
Yeah, I mean, I originally had missed it because the timing when it went through came out. Twitter is like the only form of social media that I use, unless you count Discord. So that's pretty much my go-to placement for it. I mean, any outlet of information is better than not having the outlet. For the information itself. Nerdwords kind of like hit the nail on the head there in that it's audio only, so there's a lot less production that's involved than them going on video because even though you don't really have to go to the extremes that they do, it's still something that they have to put out the right image when they go through and they do like productions and stuff. So just having that as like, hey, we can do this like more often to just hang out on a Twitter space or something like that in order to go do a Q&A, ask questions or anything. Like I would prefer that versus like a Reddit AMA, for example. But yeah, I mean, I guess personally I would like something a little bit more uh in depth, or I guess it's not even so much that in depth. I think it's like my issue with the both like the developer streams and the Twitter space, putting it into words is more so like we really haven't had the chance to play the game yet to ask questions.
right. Yeah, they're a little preemptive, but I think like we talked about a little bit earlier too. This is a great dry run to kind of test it out. It's quick and dirty. Jump on, record some stuff. Having the members of the team that were almost really really cool. I do like, and I know that every gaming company does this, right? But like some of some of the questions, like genuinely irked me. Like I don't know, I don't remember what game it was. I remember there was a game that launched a few years ago that had like some genuine outrage because you couldn't pet the goddamn dog. And now every fucking game has to have the ability to pet the dog. And then of course the one question on the Twitter space was, can I pet the dog that's in the on the cosmetic you get for hitting level 25 in the beta? To which I replied like, dude, like, is that a real question? Like, are we really wasting our time with that? Like, come on, man. Like, but we can pet the other dogs. Okay, cool. Can we move on? Can we get to like some actual like conversation about the content or about anything else? So, I mean, I just like, I really hate those kinds of softballs, I guess as it were. It feels like a giant waste of the developer's time and a waste of my fucking ear time. But that's a whole different conversation. So.
Uh, so I think the common criticism that I had picked up, especially as it was going, was exactly what you had said, Nerd Words, about question quality, right?
Yeah.
That there was a lot of flash and very little substance. Um, and I can see that, but Nineball, you kind of have hit the other part of it is we haven't played the game yet. So there's certain things that I think that they won't answer, or it probably wouldn't
Yeah.
even be it wouldn't be a good space that would be conducive to answering it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we can't talk about itemization because
Yeah.
we probably need to be able to show you items to do that. We can't talk about
Sure.
end game and the end game loop, because again, you kind of need to see it, and we need more. Like a Twitter space isn't good for that. But the other side of the coin is there are still good questions that were probably asked that weren't answered that were probably doable within that space.
There were great questions asked that were answered on the Twitter space too, right? It's just that like I feel like every developer live stream, not just Diablo, right? Like you could watch any game. I always feel like there's that one question that kind of breaks the fourth wall that's supposed to be super silly. But I really feel like for the past like 3-4 years, every single game company, whatever, it's always a question about petting the goddamn animals, and I just don't know why we care. Why does that matter to so many people? If you want to pet
Oh.
animals, own one or go to your friend's house and pet one. But why does your character have to pet? I don't know. Anyways, maybe I'm just weird.
So-
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same exact thing with everybody out there questions why do streamers make really weird faces on their YouTube thumbnails? The answer is it works, and
Yeah, that's fair.
every single developer answers
Fair.
that question on one of these like AMA type things because a lot of people ask about it. It's the
So I guess
zeitgeist.
this
It's
is my
what it
plea
is.
to the Diablo community to just come on, just really, is Diablo, go play The Sims. If you want to pet things, go play The Sims. Do we really need, think about this, right? There was
No.
a development amount of time that went in to make the frames to be able to pet something,
Yeah.
and they're never going to get that back, right? That's never, that amount of time for that developer and those artists is never coming back. And if I'm those people, I'm a little annoyed. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Maybe I don't care about petting. I don't know.
I personally do not intend to pet any animals in Diablo 4.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
Well-
happy somebody can, but that's not my goal
I
of the
got it.
game. But hey,
So maybe not necessarily the wolf pup that you get as the cosmetic, but the one teaser question for when you go through and you all start playing the beta in 2 weeks. Can you pet the wolf? That's the question you need to ask.
The wolf.
I'll just leave it there.
all right. Well, for
Okay.
all of you guys listening, because I'm just as in the dark as you are, maybe pet a wolf. We'll see. In terms of question quality, I think there were some questions I think that if they were massaged would have came across a little bit better. There was a question about the return to darkness. Like, is it really a return to darkness? Instead of asking that, like if the question was, what does a return to darkness mean to Diablo 4? That to me is a better question, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they gave that answer, but like if somebody's just listening, they're like, oh well, that was a bad question. No, it was a badly phrased question, right? Like, no, what does it actually mean when you guys talk about a return to darkness? What does that specifically mean to this version of the game, right? That to me makes sense. That's like hailing. Like what is
Yes,
that?
it is.
Yeah, like
Yes,
the
it
heck.
is.
But some of them could have been massaged a little bit more. The biggest reveal of the podcast, or of the podcast, of the Twitter space. Well, there were two. There were two big reveals. First, Pez Radar did let it out of the bag that we are a very popular podcast. A very
Very.
popular
Very.
Diablo community
Very.
podcast.
Yeah.
He didn't have to use very, right?
No.
He didn't need an adverb there. He chose an adverb to describe what we are. Now, okay, so that's not the big one. The big one is we got the Druid class
The big one
mechanic.
is that we have 13 languages in localization.
No. It's that we
That's
found
the
out
news.
after talking about
That
it
character
for
customization won't carry over.
You could pet the other dogs, but not the wolf companion thing that's on your back. But you can pet the other one. That's a big announcement we got out of that too.
yeah,
I think the
yuck it up.
next one down is then the crafting.
Yeah,
Won't
crafting
be a
was really
focus.
good too.
Yeah, isn't it gonna be a focus in the beta?
Yeah, yeah.
Was there anything else? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't
No.
think so.
Yeah, you guys are dicks. No, the big thing. that we finally got to learn after months of speculation is what the druid class mechanic is. We've known what the barbarian, what the necromancer, the rogue, the sorcerer's class mechanic were for a long time. Some at the actual announcement, and this one, despite being the class that was announced in the initial trio, we had nothing on. So Joe Shelley, he did allude to it at first, and I was like really hopeful, like early on, where he was talking about um like how the druid plays, because they were talking about the classes that they were thinking about playing. Um, he was talking about the druid, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And he started talking about the class mechanic, and they stopped. And I was like, oh, now I just got teased. I'm never gonna find out. And later they bring it up. So what is the druid class mechanic? You guys are not first to tell because you're just gonna make jokes and yuck it up. But we are told that we are not going to have access to the Druid class mechanic in the beta. It does involve going to Skazglen, and that is not an area that is accessible. Though it does seem, obviously, we know that the world will be open, that around level 15, you'll be able to kind of venture out. But for the case of the beta, we'll be stuck in the Fractured Peaks. So unfortunately, I will not get a chance to play with it, but knowing
Um,
is still
the
pretty
the word that
good.
you're looking for is disappointing.
Yeah, well, maybe I am a little like
Not
I
to
would like
mention
to try it.
when you can't play the druid at all the first weekend. So
Yeah, that's true. And let's go. We'll go back in a minute. I have a point we need to come back to. But um, so what is a druid class mechanic? Essentially, the druid goes to Skazglen, and then they have some sort of quest, and eventually they end up with a bunch of different spirits, right? And each spirit will grant a selection of boons that they can then use to better their character in some manner. And then eventually you can become really tight with one spirit, and they'll be like, hey, you can get two boons, and you have like a total of five. Um, I I still feel like there's a lot that I want to know there. But to me, I'm hearing a lot of things like that remind me a little bit of like the D2 Druid. You had different spirits. You had your Oak Sage and your Wolverine one. Um, so there's some logic where I'm like, oh, okay, I could see how this would work out. Um, I'd like to see it a little bit more. I would like to know what those actual boons are. Um, is it something that makes like my like right now I'm playing a Zoo Druid in Diablo 2. Is there some sort of spirit that I'm able to put points into to make that a viable build, right? Whereas a necromancer can do that. A necromancer has its Book of the Dead that it gets to play with how its army will be. Is one of those spirits able to do that? Is one of those spirits able to make my werebear form or my shapeshifting more powerful or um, different attributes to it? That'd be pretty cool. And then to me, it seems logical to then split it between lightning and earth of some sort and make those different in some way because it seems like every other class mechanic has that capability, and if I'm able to do that, that'd be awesome. What are your theories about how it's going to play out?
So you started by referencing the Oak Sage, which while was functional and useful in Diablo 2, is literally just more health, which is boring as shit. So like, yeah, that's great, but if it just ends up being like a stat stick, that would be terrible, right? Like I think that like we've seen the really interesting class mechanics for the different systems and the different classes so far. The Book of the Dead looks awesome. The enchant system for the sorceress looks amazing. Really cool, right? And obviously still going through iterations, so we'll see what's what. But if it's like an Oak Sage, it just gives you like 10% or 20% or whatever more vitality, then that's kind of lame. So we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see, but hopefully it's just as interesting as interesting as engaging as the other ones. That would be ideal. Even though I plan to play Druid 0% of the time. My boy Xanth needs a great class thing, so hook him up. Him and the other four people.
And yeah,
And Pez.
and Pez.
Yeah,
Sure.
because he plays.
He's got good taste and nice arms.
There you go.
Is a flea one of the spirit animals?
I hope
Right.
so.
I hope so too. That way I can be right.
Oh, that's right. They do have like the poison vines, so maybe you can add on fleas to come up from it.
Yeah, you can give you can maybe it's like you can get poisoned, so that way you have like mange to give your bonus damage to your poison attacks.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds good.
yeah. But no, I mean it's interesting, and so it's like just like kind of like building off what Nerdward said, like the Necromancer Book of the Dead. The cool part about the Book of the Dead is the summons. But from what we've seen, is that like the Necromancer wasn't playable in the press beta that I got to play. So I played the same exact thing that we'll be playing, minus any changes that they made over on the 17th, and then the Necromancer will be playable the weekend after that on the 24th. So I look to see what the current iteration of the Book of the Dead is going to be like. But from what we've seen, you can change up how your minions act and like what damage types they do. You can change the elementals, a whole bunch of like really interesting changes there. Or you can just kill the pet and like get more crit damage, which of course is kind of on the boring side. Um, so I'm hoping that it'll be something along that line, that it isn't just like a static buff increase, and that it's going to give you something that you can some interactive gameplay option, that changes up how you play. Instead of you deal more damage, you have more life, you take less damage. Those types of things. While interesting on the spreadsheet theory crafting side of it, not so much when you're going through and playing the game, because when you're playing the game, you literally don't even know that you have like that static bonus in the background. It's just there. Doesn't change how you actually play from my druid versus your druid.
And your druid doesn't exist, so there's that.
Yeah.
But I think you are right. Like if it is just more of a like slotting in random attributes or something like that, that won't feel as cool as like from what we've heard from you, Nineball, with the different abilities with a rogue or a sorcerer, um,
Hmm.
to kind of customize it a little bit and play like the way you want to. And I feel like Druid itself is already a class that kind of has the capability to pick and choose like how you want to play it. Like you have the shape shifting, you have companions, you have
Hmm.
um, your storm and your earth spells. Like if you want to be just like a solid earth druid, it seems like you can do that. Um, so I would hope the class mechanic is something that will help support that. But who knows? And we won't until, well, release, or they give us a little bit more information because we won't catch it in the beta. Now,
Yeah.
I did want to come back to this. We forgot one of the things with the cathedral. Uh, there is one extra promotion. Did you guys enter?
I did.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if you have not, you absolutely need to. If you can get to level 25 in the open beta, you have an opportunity to be painted in on the cathedral. Question for both of you. We know that characters in this beta will roll over to the open beta. Does that mean that if I get 25 next weekend and then it rolls over, that I have then officially entered? Or does it have to be a character that I made on the open beta weekend?
I have not looked that far into the terms and conditions, but I guess now I'm going to.
That also sounds like a fantastic question
Yeah.
for a live Q&A.
Well, they did.
So,
Yeah. I don't think we thought about it at that time. Uh,
well, no, obviously that's how these things work, right? So
well,
it's retroactive.
I
to
mean,
be
yeah.
to be fair,
Best
the Q.
questions always come up immediately after the Q&A.
Here's what I
Right.
do remember. I do remember them like a question being asked: if you leveled multiple characters, could you make multiple entries? To which they said no, right? So like you're
Correct.
gonna get one entry. So if you don't do it the first weekend, do it the second weekend, or do it the first weekend and don't do it the second weekend. I think either way you'll be entered, and you can only be entered once, I would imagine, per account. That's my assumption. I do not know, nor do I work for the Diablo development team, but that's my assumption based on that answer. I think Danny's the one that gave that answer on the Twitter
Yeah.
space. Because that was my thought too. Is like, well, shit. Like, I only plan on playing the Sorceress to 25, but like, if I can get 5 chances, I'll play all 5 of them on the second beta and then all 3 on the first. So why
No.
not, right? Like, I mean, I
Why
plan,
not?
even though I main one class pretty much in every Diablo game and stick with that forever, I level everything at least one time through to play through the whole game and kind of experience the class. Just nothing ever changes my mind because, mages, man.
Death mages.
Hey, Necro's it's an aside, right? It's right in the
Yeah.
same lane.
Druids, right?
Nah,
No,
yeah.
no, not so much. Not so much.
We do have a pretty solid party already here, though. That
Hell
we
yeah.
have no
Yeah.
overlap, which is kind of a rarity. Um,
My other 2
so
buddies are actually Barb and Rogue mains, it looks like, for the launch too. So we got a full,
nice.
if only you could do 5-man parties, but it's 4.
Yeah, that of course is like the one downside is that you have 5 classes, 4 spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
But
will
then
also
well, I
in
remember
any sort of
feeling that way
additional
with.
class that gets added,
Yeah,
then that becomes a bigger disparity.
yeah,
That's true. I remember feeling that way about Diablo 3 when it first got announced, when it was 4 instead
yeah,
of 8, But then, like, playing in solo games with my Talrasha wizard right now on Diablo 3, I break the game. I can't imagine what it'd be like with 8 people in a Diablo 3
yeah,
game. So I imagine Diablo 4's particle density is going to get kind of insane too. And once you get towards the top end, I mean, I can't
yeah.
imagine it not a little bit, but oh well. 4 players,
So
great for console though.
that's true. So outside of the reveal of the Druid class mechanic, and has again acknowledging that we are a very popular Diablo community podcast, was there any other big takeaways that you guys had from it?
It's, I just like hearing from the team as often as we have. I think that that's
Yeah.
huge. I think again, Pez is a great personality. He's a great part of this whole process. He's a great host. He's really really energetic. He's got a good energy about him. Hearing from Rod and Joe and Danny was awesome. Again, I'm kind of a Rod Ferguson fanboy at this point in my life, so really really good to hear those interactions. I also like the kind of snarkiness. My favorite thing about the Twitter Spaces was there was a moment where like Rod kind of like cut in. It was like, yeah, you're taking too long to get to me, so I'm going to jump in and just say that. And like he said, so like just kind of see how the team interacts with each other, kind of broke the fourth wall a little bit. I don't know. It's just really cool to see the camaraderie between the team members, and um, I think just a cool experience. Again, the more content they push out, the more we get to know the team, the development process, the things that go into all this stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, the Hell's Inc., the KFC promotion. There's just so many things that are like intentional and thoughtful, that I think are really awesome. And again, as a fan of Diablo, who works in retail and works with a lot of people, there's people that have never played Diablo, never cared about Diablo, even Diablo 2 or 3, that are like excited for this beta, that are excited to try the game out, that have looked into all this stuff. I mean, I had one of my friends who's just a diehard Halsey fan, right? Who's like, was like, I don't know what the hell this is, but I saw the video, so I clicked the link from the Game Awards, and she's a gamer, and I don't understand, and I'm watching the video, and I didn't know this song was like that, right? And so now they're looking at getting Diablo, and it turns out, right, they're a big Final Fantasy 14 person, right? So it's not
Okay.
completely off of their out of their lane.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of RPG. So I just think that it's really smart. It's really cool. And again, they've got really Pez's personality is great to lead this charge. But the entire team, Joe, Rod, Danny, all the people that we've seen interacted with, Joe, he's been great too when he was on the Q&A and all that. So I think it's awesome. And look, that was my favorite thing about Diablo 3. Getting to know the development team, to get to interact with them either through these kinds of things or in person. It's good to see that they're continuing that, and that was put in place by people that we all care about very very much, and really championed by them. So to see that kind of carrying forward with the new group is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was really surprised at, we just had the live stream not that long ago. Now we're, kicking out even more information. I kind of expected radio silence for a little bit. We have the
Sure.
beta coming up. Maybe, as we got like next week, hear some things. Um, so to have this was nice. I do look forward to more because if this is what they're doing for just the beta, what's May gonna be like?
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
thinking about too.
I mean, heck, what is June going to be like talking about season 1?
Yep.
Yeah,
This is just the start. Like, this is the lead up to the game and such. We got 3-month seasons with constantly new updates and content going through coming. I mean, like I was saying before, Twitch, Twitter Spaces, Reddit AMA, don't care. Give me more info. Whatever metric works best, for the marketing team. That do it.
Yep. I'm going
That's
to
fine by
consume
me.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too I don't. You're right. Like I think there's so much coming, and I think the idea that we talked about this months ago, the idea that Diablo 4 has been developed as a live service game, whereas previous Diablo games, though they are live service games, they really became live service games, were not developed that way. Is I think the thing that's most exciting is that for the first time in the franchise history, they're really going, okay, what does 2 years look like? What does a year look like? What does the next 6 months look like? And that the kind of foresight that Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 didn't really have, even if it got it over time, Diablo 4 is going to come out of the gates with that. And I just, again, transparently, I play a lot of different games. Right now, I'm pretty heavy playing WoW again. And like everyone that I play WoW with, a lot of which don't play Diablo, are like taking the weekend off from work, like getting ready for the
Yeah.
Diablo 4, just for the beta. Just for the beta. And I think that that's really cool because I'm going to have a lot bigger friend pool to play with. I got some great friends on D2, great friends on D3, and in the community in general. But the more people we bring into Diablo, the bigger the franchise grows, and I think that's huge for everyone. So, super excited, super excited.
yeah, absolutely. As you talk about that, now more questions are kind of percolating in my brain about clans and stuff like that, and just
Yeah,
being able to interact with people, and those are things for a different podcast at a different time, and probably after we get our chance to play around with it. But
play. Yeah,
um, it is Thursday night. I assume this might go live, maybe Friday, maybe it's a Saturday, but probably by the time somebody is listening to this right now, you're a week away from playing Diablo 4.
hell yeah.
Like, finally, after 4 years, you're going to have it. And based on the specs that we saw, almost everybody should be able to play it, um, I imagine. So you get out there. And heck, even if you don't have a computer that can run it and you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, you can do that. Get your double down, get your code, and boot it up on your PS4. Again, this is not a
Hmm.
paid promotion. This sounds like a paid promotion, but
It
it is
does.
not. It's just what you can do, and you're gonna have it. And I'm excited, and I'm excited to talk to both of you gentlemen uh, after we get to play. There's no reason we should schedule a podcast for that weekend, but the Monday
Hell
after.
no.
The
Nice.
Monday
Sure.
after. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to
So
catch me Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night at all. So,
no. But so the Diablo podcast goes dark for 8 days, and then we're talking about it. So
Yeah.
be ready. Any last thoughts before we close out here?
not really.
Mhm.
Again, really excited. Love the campaign that the team's been doing. Great information. Um, stop asking stupid questions about petting dogs. That's my only ask for, and that's not a Diablo question. That's every game ever. I don't. Maybe I'm the asshole. Yeah, never mind. Maybe I'm the asshole. Never mind. But yeah, great stuff so far. So excited. Excited for the weekend. Ready for the beta.
YTA. Yeah. No, I like as we've reiterated a couple of times already. Keep it going, Diablo team. Y'all are doing a great job giving us more
Yeah.
information. For us that want the hardcore side that wants more crunch in the questions and such. Like I'm pretty sure that we just don't until we actually have like the full game in our hands, like June 2nd. Probably even like a couple days past that. that we don't even know the right questions to begin asking.
True.
You know,
That's true.
and things of that nature. So
And
Aside from
yeah,
Nine
we'll
Ball,
get
they're
there.
all noobs right now. So
I think, and that is also just a really exciting part.
yeah,
We had a Diablo 3 season, and while the altar is completely new and exciting,
amazing.
you knew what the end game was. You knew
Right.
what the sets were going to do. You knew what the enemies did. You knew what to expect in everything outside of the altar, right? Same thing with Diablo 2. You can add in some new rune words, you can add in terrorized zones, but for the most part, it's all been kind of figured out. Nothing about Diablo 4 has been. We're going to be playing some horribly janky builds that we're just like, I think it might work. Those are the best. Like, once it's been all figured out, it's still fun. But like your horrible hodgepodge of skills and gear that you're just like, I don't know. I'll just see if it works this time. Uh, that's going to be fun, and I'm excited for that. Like 2 to 3 month window, and I know like Macro's going to have it all figured out by week 2. Like I
Yeah,
know he's
right. Once
on
we
it,
look at his guides, it'll be easy. Yep, easy mode.
but we're still going to have like not everything there, and then there's continuously new stuff that's adding in with different seasons. So I'm excited for that. Excited for that fresh start. Uh, well, let's end as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo moo moo. Boo.